Howdy folks, and welcome to the Hillbilly Kitchen. Today we're making no-bake cheesecake truffles. And this is an excellent addition to your holiday candy, and it's good for just about any occasion. It is tasty little chocolate covered cheesecake bites, and it is so easy. Now for the basic recipe, you need 8 ounces of softened cream cheese, that's 1 block, a cup of powdered sugar, a little splash of vanilla, about 1.5 cups of graham cracker crumbs, and that's about a sleeve, just crush them up. And you need a cup of white chocolate chips or white bacon chips, whatever you want to call them. You can also use semi-sweet chocolate, or you can use milk chocolate to do this in. And if you add about a tablespoon or so of coconut oil to your chocolate chips, it will make your dip much prettier. So that's it for the basic recipe, but we're going to do some variations because I did 2 batches. Once you get these mixed up, you are going to have to put them in the refrigerator for 30-45 minutes to firm them up before you dip them. And since I had to do 2 batches, I've already got one in the refrigerator, I decided to do some strawberry with vanilla wafer crumbs in it. Now you can completely switch out the vanilla wafers and the graham crackers. It's 1.5 cups of crumbs, and you can just use vanilla wafers in your basic mix. But what I'm using for my strawberry flavor is I got out some of my freeze-dried strawberries. And you can get freeze-dried fruit anywhere now, and it's not super expensive. I do, however, love my Harvest Right freeze dryer, and if you're looking for a big gift for someone special in your life this Christmas, that is a really nice gift. And I just crushed up my freeze-dried strawberries, and that's natural strawberry flavor. So it is going to be delicious. Anyway, I have a bowl that is much larger than I need, and we're going to start mixing up the whole batch, and then we're going to divide it in half to add some flavor. The reason I got a bowl much bigger than I need, because I know y'all are saying, what? is because I don't want to wear this cream cheese, and we're going to kind of fluff the cream cheese up. We're going to whip it a little bit. I do start by kind of mashing it a little bit with the mixer because it's going to sling it everywhere. And you could also mash it up a little bit with a spoon or a fork, which would be quicker and easier, but you know, some of us have to do everything the hard way. Okay, when we get our cream cheese whipped up a little bit, and you could start with whipped cream cheese if you wanted to instead of a block. We're going to go ahead and add our vanilla, at least a teaspoon. And we're going to add our powdered sugar. And that's the base. Then we're going to split it in half and do part of it with graham cracker crumbs and part of it with our vanilla wafers and our strawberries. So kind of stir this again because you don't want to fling that powdered sugar everywhere, and then give it another whip. And you're going to want to scrape your bowl in this step. Even with this deep bowl, I'm still wearing some of it. Not much though. Scrape your bowl, and we're going to whip it again because we want this well mixed before we add anything else into it. Now, it is very well whipped. It kind of flows off your beaters when it's whipped, and you can see they leave a nice kind of wavy, ripply pattern in your cream cheese. Now, because I'm doing 2 different kinds, I'm going to divide this up. If I were not doing 2 different kinds, I would just add 1.5 cups of graham cracker crumbs in here, or 1.5 cups of vanilla wafers. Or at Christmas time, maybe 1.5 cups of ginger snaps or something. If you're looking for an inexpensive gift for those folks in your life who cook, you can never have enough rubber spatulas. At Christmas time, half of my dishwasher, every time I run it, and at Easter and Thanksgiving and all the other holidays, half my dishwasher is full of rubber spatulas. All right, now you don't have to be exact with this when you divide it up. I'm just trying to get it pretty even. Now, because I divided this in half, I'm going to add about 3/4 cup of graham crackers to 1/2 of it. And I crush these up in a Ziploc bag. I use my rolling pin, you know, you just beat on it, roll it. You can also use your fist, beat on it, rub it between your hands, whatever. Or if you got a food processor, you can use a food processor to crumble them up. But this time of year, if you're like me, you probably need to work out a few frustrations. So go ahead and do it by hand. Anyway, add your graham crackers and just mix until it is well combined with your cream cheese and your powdered sugar and your vanilla. I have a feeling that these, especially the strawberry ones, because those freeze-dried strawberries just give this the most amazing flavor, are going to be one of those things that everybody wants for every special occasion. They would be wonderful for baby showers. They would be good for even wedding receptions or bridal showers, Easter, Christmas, and we're going to decorate them a little bit for Christmas. Any kind of party, cookie exchange, potlucks at church, just whatever. And they are small bite-sized desserts, and a lot of people like that. Okay, that's all there is to the basic recipe. Now, because my freeze-dried strawberries are dried, I have to be careful how much dry stuff I add into this, because the strawberries obviously are going to affect the texture. So what I want is about half a cup of my strawberries, and then I'm just going to use about half a cup of vanilla wafers. If I wasn't doing the strawberries, I would use the same amount of vanilla wafers as I'm using graham crackers. And I will tell you this, the vanilla wafers are much harder to crumble by hand than the graham crackers are. They don't crush up as easy. And I crushed up way more vanilla wafers than I need. I might have to use the rest of these in a different recipe this week. All right, now I'm just going to add my vanilla wafers and my strawberry. And I'm going to stir that a little bit because I don't want to lose all the strawberry off the top. These bowls are a little bit too small. That's what y'all are used to, isn't it? You know, some of these freeze-dried strawberries crushed up would even be pretty to decorate these once you dipped them in the white chocolate, if you're using white chocolate. And like I said, you can use white chocolate, milk chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate, or some combination, even dark chocolate, just whatever you want. And chocolate cheesecake is good. Strawberry cheesecake is good. Strawberry chocolate cheesecake is good. So all these flavors go together. You could also use freeze-dried raspberries in here. You could use apples or bananas if you wanted different fruit flavors. You could use chocolate graham crackers if you wanted it more chocolatey. There's just a lot of combinations starting with the cream cheese base. And we just want to mix that until it's combined. And that's combined. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use a small cookie scooper, and we're going to scoop them out and then put them in the refrigerator for about 30-45 minutes or longer if you run into other stuff you got to do, and let them get firm before we dip them. Okay, some parchment paper will make this job a little cleaner and a little easier, and I actually should have put it down before I started mixing that up, and it would have caught all the crumbs on it, and it would not have mattered if the crumbs got on my scooped out truffles. When I'm making candy, any kind of candy, including these little cheesecake truffles, I like to use my smaller cookie scooper because it's candy. Now, these are not incredibly sweet, which I like. Most of your holiday candy is incredibly sweet, but they are still sweet and they are very rich, and it doesn't matter if you're using the vanilla wafers or the graham crackers. And they're definitely not light. I mean, you saw what went into them. They're pretty solid little bites. So I like to do them small. Because it's warm, of course, they're not going to come out perfectly round. But if you want them perfectly round, after we put them in the fridge and let them set up, we can shape them a little bit before we dip them. By the way, these don't have any eggs or raw flour in them. So you can feel free to lick your fingers as often as you want while you're making them. Just don't tell anybody. Okay, once we get all of our truffles scooped out, like I said, we want to stick them in the refrigerator 30 to 45 minutes until they are firm and well set up. And they should be pretty easy to handle once they've set up, you know, fairly solid. That's what we want right there. Then we are going to melt our chocolate, white chocolate, whatever you're using, in the microwave 30 seconds at a time. And like I said, we're just going to put a little bit of coconut oil in it. It makes it prettier, it makes it set up better, it makes it easier to handle once it's cooled, and it makes whatever you're dipping hold its shape better. And part of the reason for dipping stuff like this is so it will hold its shape. You could eat them without dipping them, but they are going to lose their shape pretty quick. All right, 30 seconds at a time, don't overdo it. While we're letting that melt, we'll take just a second and shape some of these a little bit rounder. Okay, let's see how our chocolate's doing here. Okay, this is not quite melted yet, so I'm going to stick it back in my microwave for maybe not quite 30 seconds, maybe about 15. Now, you can ruin chocolate really, really fast melting it in a microwave if you get it too hot. So take your time and melt it slowly. I'm going to mix this a little bit more because it's continuing to melt here as I mix it. The bowl is warm. If you get it too hot, it will lump up and it will just be unusable. And ingredients, especially chocolate right now, I think chocolate chips are up to, like, when they're on sale, $4 or $5 a bag, which is a crazy jump. So be careful with this. Don't overdo it. You can also melt it on the stove on very, very low heat. And when I'm doing a lot of candy at one time at Christmas, what I will do is I will get out a small crock pot and fill it with hot water, turn it on so it stays warm, like turn it on low or warm to keep it warm, and then sit my glass bowl on top of a small crock pot, and that keeps it hot without overheating it. I probably should do a short on that, especially considering how expensive chocolate is right now, to keep people from messing it up. Okay, I'm going to put this in there for just another 10 seconds, I think. Now, all I'm doing to shape these is I'm just rolling them in my hands for a second. You want to be careful not to do this too much because you'll warm them up and then they'll kind of melt into your chocolate rather than your chocolate coating them. All right. And you could even stick them back in the refrigerator for 5 or 10 minutes after you do that to firm the outside up again, but we're not going to. Okay, here is the other big thing about dipping chocolate. I said that you can't get it too hot. If you get it too hot, it will ruin it. It'll make it lumpy and thick and it won't flow. Well, unless it's hot enough, it doesn't flow either. And mine's just not quite hot enough. So I'm going to do 10 more seconds. But be very careful because it is all melted. Well, we're still not really pourable here. I think I'm going to do a little bit more coconut oil because what the coconut oil does, other than making it look good and shiny, is it also thins it and makes it more pourable. And sometimes when you're doing stuff like this, you have to adjust things because they just don't quite work. And that's one of the things about cooking and versus following a recipe. A tablespoon usually does it, but if it doesn't, add a little bit more. That looks like it's turning it nice. I mean, I probably didn't add a teaspoon and now it's flowing. Half teaspoon. That's what we want right there. Yes, that looks very good. Now we're going to dip these. I used to have, or I do have, I just don't know where it is, a very fancy candy dip set, Wilton candy dipping set. Miss Peggy sent it to me years ago, and I don't know if any of her family still watches this or not, but if you do, please comment because I would like to hear from you. Okay, So what I'm using is a plastic fork that I broke the middle two tongs out of. It works great for dipping any kind of candy. You just put it down in your chocolate, roll it around, and then take it out and place it on some parchment paper to set and cool. And it is super easy. And while I was melting this chocolate, I was standing here looking at this and thinking, daggone, I wish I had done some of these with freeze-dried bananas and the vanilla wafers. I mean, banana pudding cheesecake truffles. And I'm not going to try to keep these separate so that folks can identify them. They will either get a plain one or they will get a strawberry one. And kind of let it be a surprise. But you can keep them separate and you can identify them with like different colored sprinkles. Or if you're using white chocolate and dark chocolate, you can use a little swirl or something on top of them. And a lot of times when I'm decorating candy, I do use just chocolate to decorate it with. I'll swirl it instead of using sprinkles or something. But for different holidays, you can certainly use different colored sprinkles. You can use different colored sugars. But if you're going to do sprinkles or sugars, and because this is white, I don't want to do white, make sure while your chocolate is still wet that you put that on. Because once your chocolate dries, it won't stick. And we'll do a row and we'll put some green on them. And that's all festive for Christmas. Something else you can do, and I always buy this stuff after the holiday. Like even the sprinkles, I will get them after Christmas because you can get them so much cheaper. But you can get these little candy mini cupcake papers after all the holidays, and they're all festive, and you can add stuff like your truffles into them, especially if you're making stuff candy to give away. But putting it in the little papers makes it easy to pack. It makes it easy to keep in an individual serving. It's very decorative. A lot of folks don't like sprinkles and things like that on top of their treats. And that's a way to do it without adding sprinkles. It's a way to do it without adding any more calories because you don't eat the paper. And let's face it, all of the holidays have plenty of calories in them. But even though you're putting it in the little paper cups, you can still do sprinkles, sugar, crushed candy. You could crush up some peppermint candy on top of these for Christmas. These very tasty little treats, the variations on them really truly are only limited by your imagination. I said just about any kind of freeze-dried fruit you could put in them, any kind of berries, even like blackberries. But definitely strawberries, raspberries, and bananas. And the banana with the vanilla wafers would give you a banana pudding cheesecake truffle. And I'm going to have to make some of those because I know when somebody in particular hears me say that, they're going to say, I want banana pudding cheesecake truffles. I can't believe you didn't make them. But that's all there is to completely making these. And you know, play with the flavors, do different variations, and I guarantee you these are going to be one that everybody is going to ask for. When you start making them, you're going to have to keep making them. And whether or not you top them, it's entirely up to you. Certainly, they're delicious without being topped with anything at all. And you're probably going to be making these for some kind of special occasion. Maybe Christmas, maybe Easter. Like I said, really good for Easter. Or a baby shower or a wedding shower or something. And all those times tend to kind of steal our peace. And they're all intended to be joyful celebrations where we are sharing love and fellowship with one another. So I want to leave you with John 14:27. Peace I leave with you, and my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, I give unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Jesus' gift is eternal, and it is not subject to our circumstance. So don't get so caught up in trying to make everything perfect, or trying to make sure everybody is happy, or trying to make sure everybody gets what they want. Focus on the peace that Jesus left with us. Focus on the fellowship and the love with one another. I truly hope that you are filled with that peace all through this holiday season, or during whatever special occasion you're making these wonderful cheesecake truffles for. Thank you so much for joining us in the Hillbilly Kitchen. Thank you for being a part of our family. And until next time, remember to put God first.